We are nothing sacred. We are nothing sacred. We are nothing sacred.
With Maxwell Silverhammer.
We are nothing sacred. With cruise control. We are nothing sacred.
Oh, yes, bitches. Welcome to the Nothing Sacred interview. Brought some old friends back, but man, they've got quite a wild story to tell. I got Mike and Danielle from the Minivan Musician podcast. What's up, guys?
What's up?
Hey.
Hey. So, all right, first question right out of the gate. How the hell did you even get wind of all this going on?
Oh, God.
Well, actually, Danielle was working, helping some people who got displaced from the hurricane.
Mm-hmm.
So we were kind of paying attention to places where you could put campers and stuff for people that lost everything. And so we started seeing some stuff about this attempted cult / charity scam, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And they did a couple of things that I didn't like. So we said stuff about it in our podcast because we had been covering Helene recovery and just the disaster in general.
Mm.
So basically what it was is they had blamed a local business for them getting kicked out of a campground, which wasn't true. And I didn't like the whole, I work for a small business and these are some great people that have been running this place almost a century.
No, we didn't know it at the time. But...
No. And then they also, the guy who was documenting them, the Appalachian Channel guy, John Ward, he was basically kind of making it look like it was a Helene camp, but come to find out it was really just homeless people, drug addicts, supposed drug addicts, stuff like just homeless people in general, but passing it off that way, getting donations based on that sort of thing. So that's basically what it was. It was brought to my attention by an out-of-state friend who wanted to give money to people who are stuck living in tent cities, searched on YouTube for the tent cities, found that, and within 90 seconds found out, hey, these aren't Helene people. So he thought the whole region was like that.
Well, and before we even knew that it wasn't Helene people for sure, we had went and drove out that way. And we had kind of looked into it a little bit at that point, but not too much. And we're like, well, why don't we stop out at that store and see what kind of vibe we get, and then we'll stop out at the camp itself and to see again what kind of vibe we get, ask some questions. And so we did that, and we didn't really get many answers at the restaurant that day, but at the actual camp we were met by a volunteer, and it looked like it was somewhat legit, and that it sounded really nice what they were trying to do and all this stuff. And I was like, oh, maybe it's not that bad. Maybe it's just, some miscommunications and stuff. And yeah, tried to
that's how we reported on it at first. Basically okay, well, maybe they're doing some good here, but there's some kind of, it's being marketed the wrong way, basically.
John at first.
Yeah, the guy documenting it. But then they decided to go on the offensive.
Yeah.
Because we had something to say about it. So then I started getting just dozens of inboxes from people like, oh my God, stop this woman. She's been ripping this area off for 15 years and blah, blah, blah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, dude, just dozens and dozens of messages from victims.
Just, an unbelievable amount of people came out of the woodwork that we had no clue who any of these people were. We'd never met a single one of them, never laid eyes on any of them whatsoever.
Yeah.
And then they had somehow found the podcast and all of a sudden just started messaging in droves. Please help, get this shut down. This is horrible. Oh my God. And so, just let us.
Crazy.
Yeah, it was really just us commenting on something locally that just, we had a little minor complaint and we had a little bit of curiosity, but then the way they came at us after that, and the way that people came to us as victims, it was like, okay, there's something here. People are getting exploited. So then we started accepting people as interviews, basically. They were coming to us.
Well, and I was doing a heavy amount of charity work at that time. After the hurricane, I pretty much dedicated my entire existence 24/7 to doing volunteer work all day.
That's right, because you guys are out there on all that stuff, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I should have said that at the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what kicked all this off was the hurricane itself. So
Right. It's not like you guys just said we got to go to whatever North Carolina and
no, yeah, we were in it.
Yeah, we're in the middle of Western North Carolina, kind of like surrounding us. Stuff just got absolutely decimated.
Yeah,
So that's what we're covering it because it's like, it
that's our
affected us.
whole existence. Yeah, it still is. Even just today, we were at a campground we can no longer camp at because it's destroyed by the hurricane.
Yeah.
So
damn. Wow.
Yeah.
So this is interesting. So when you guys first went out there and started kind of poking around, were you met with resistance? Did people kind of, like they avoid you or tell you to leave, or how are you received out there?
No, we just met a woman that was a volunteer from the other side of the state who'd come out because of the Appalachian Channel coverage. And, was basically dedicating every day and night to helping run this thing.
yeah, the actual people who ran it were not there when we went there, and come to find out they were never there ever
Yeah.
until they caught wind of us being around. And they were at a different location. Then they decided to actually live there like they had claimed they were for that entire time, but they were never there. So we weren't
Wow.
really met with much of anything. from
No, we
anybody.
only spent about 15 minutes talking to the main volunteer woman.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, aside from that, it was people contacting us, telling us things, and basically painting a picture of what this thing really was from the inside. And like she said, the woman wasn't there enough to make this happen properly, but she was legitimately trying to run a cult. Like, she was trying to build this thing, this dream that's in her head, exploiting homeless people, collecting money from it, like warehouses full of donations and everything. And the people never get the stuff. It's just she stockpiles it and has this plan for this, whatever.
She wanted these dedicated followers to just follow her and do all the footwork for her for everything that they did, and then, basically bank off of it. And in the process, look like a martyr who's doing the most good and the most charity and the most care for homeless people in the region, and just like this saint, almost like she's just like attention hungry to a very startling degree.
Yeah. And then we found out she'd done this before. So,
yeah.
Oh, so this is an old something new. She just kind of like changed the paint job on the vehicle, basically. That's what it sounds like.
She popped back up because of the hurricane. Like, it was an opportunity. And yeah, she had a homeless shelter before. Obviously, I wasn't there. I can't say anything for sure, but supposedly there's a lot of crooked stuff going on there.
Yeah.
Not necessarily like a cult-like thing, but look at me, get a lot of attention, going to local news because I'm doing so much for these people.
And steal all their money.
But allegedly getting their EBT money, their social security checks, dating just about every guy within a, 30 to 50 year age range. Like that's basically what people say. And I'm telling you, like, we've never heard different, and we've talked to a lot of people.
Yeah.
We've never had a person say, well, no, she was actually doing some legit stuff, but not a single person.
Nope.
So that tells us something there. But, basically that's part of the reason people came to us, is they said, she's doing it again.
Yeah.
We thought she was gone, run out of the county. Like, that's basically what they said. In this county, well, the main town in this county, but I don't know if you're familiar with the Word of Faith Fellowship.
If you're not, Google it and check out their Amazon documentary. And there's another one on a different platform, but they're like a real cult.
Yeah,
like
really scary. So they're from the same hometown, basically. And this is like a world famous or infamous deadly cult, and it's almost like she's trying to emulate what she grew up watching. Like, that's how it feels.
Very wild, very wild.
Yeah, dude, a weird coincidence I want to throw in there, would just be interesting to people if they look this stuff up, is when you look up the Word of Faith Fellowship and you find the official AP News kind of, expose where they played audio that people took behind the scenes at the Word of Faith Fellowship. It's at a city hall, I believe, in Spindale, or maybe it's at Rutherford County. There's like, 100, 200 people there listening to these tapes, listening to the stories.
These victims, yeah.
She's the freaking thumbnail, dude.
Yeah, the woman, the cult that we just busted into, I guess.
It's just oddly.
Thumbnail photo. It's really wild.
Oddly enough, and she acted. There's some other weird stuff in here where she acted on Facebook as though she'd never even heard a word of faith and stuff
But
like
yet
that.
there she is on the news.
And she keeps mentioning it even to this day with our court stuff with her.
That's
That's
very
something we
weird.
need
Wait,
to-
wait, wait! You got a court? You say court stuff? So
Oh,
are you being sent to court?
God. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Really?
It's a mutual thing. Unfortunately, they're kind of doing it as like a retaliation thing.
Holy shit! So they're suing you guys.
No, they're not suing. Well, they would love to. They would absolutely love to, but I
I
don't
don't
think.
have anything.
It's like I don't know what they would take, but they oh God, this is some wild
Well, like
shit.
we said, though, we only went out to the original location that it was actually the second location she'd gotten booted from. We only went there the one time, talked to a lady for a few minutes.
And that was with it, like we had good intentions. We were not doing it for a podcast
No,
purpose then.
no.
I was actually trying to see what it was about and
It was
if it was
personal
a good place
curiosity
or
then.
not. So yeah, it was like
And she
if
had
it was a
people
good
she had a
place,
place.
I was gonna send somebody there that was homeless and needed a place to go.
Oh
But I
shit!
found out that it wasn't a good place.
And within minutes, it was like, well, what's
Yeah.
funny is, God, dude, we're all over the place with this, but like,
That's
we
what's
went
great
to
about
the
it.
gas station / restaurant first that she had bad mouth.
Uh-huh.
I think mainly because I was hungry and needed cigarettes at the time
Yeah.
or something. And it was on the way. And then as basically on the way there, I was seeing all this stuff. All
Yeah,
this like controversy that she
literally
bad.
on the way out there.
The local business thing, I don't even think I knew before we left.
We
the house.
didn't, no.
So this was all like accidental, but yeah, the whole thing is we only went there to one time. That was when was it? Like then
I don't know, February, March.
something like that, February, March. Then months later, when all this thing started going, we're interviewing people,
We were
putting
in
the
deep
podcast.
at that point.
We still had never even gone to the new location. We're just
Never.
interviewing people.
Yeah.
And catching lies going back and forth with the Appalachian Channel guy.
Yeah.
There's a whole other thing that ties into this.
Don't
with him.
start with that though. I
No.
don't want to go down that rabbit hole.
But we went to there's a guy that lives next door to the existing Hope Village location.
Yeah, the current one.
She's beefed out with him the whole time. You know, he's got trail cams on her. She's got cameras on him. There's a TV show that wants to get involved and
Yes.
do a story on this.
Yeah,
No honor among thieves, huh? Is that the deal?
Yeah, it's like but he's cool.
He's a really good guy.
He
yeah.
was concerned because they've got kids and stuff, and it was all like people that were convicted. You know that they were on probation, they were convicted of things, they're recovering drug addicts, all this stuff. In this.
So he's a little afraid of the criminal activity that could happen.
Yeah, I mean, imagine you're
You live out in the middle of nowhere for peace, and then all of a sudden you've got like
next door. You got a
homeless
camp
shelter moving.
of like dozens of
Okay.
people that are like criminals. But yeah, I keep talking about this as though people know. I don't know why.
Because
but
we're used to people.
Anyways, we were going to several locations that day, finally, for the podcast. We hadn't gone almost anywhere in person.
No.
We had found out where a bunch of warehouses were, where stuff was being stored. We found out where there was probably campers that were
Sitting.
Yeah, just sitting when they should have been going to people, or they're being sold and things like that when they're donated. But we decided to stop next door to Hope Village at the neighbor's house to kind of thank him. Because after all the work we put in and everything, he had actually sent us a few bucks
Yeah,
to the
they were very
podcast.
cool.
So I was stopping by there just to thank him. And down the driveway, I took one shot of Hope Village because I didn't want to use their like pictures or thumbnail or whatever and have them hit me for copyright.
Yeah.
Right,
So all
right.
I was doing was getting one picture.
Which is legal. We were not on their property. We were not, standing there snapping shots of them or
There's no
anything.
people.
Right. Just
No.
a single shot kind of thing. Yeah.
Exactly. From the other side of the property line.
And long story short, dude, we pulled out of there and we ended up getting chased by the woman and her husband that run the
Oh.
thing.
This
Well,
is
we
the story
sat
you
down-
told. This
Yes.
is the story from the document. And the guy's name is Ronnie. You
Yes.
said he attacked you, right?
Ronnie. Yes. Yeah. We sat
Wow.
down at a stop sign for literally, almost 5 whole minutes because we were out in the middle of nowhere. We don't know our way around there. We were trying to get the GPS to load and everything. So we sat at the stop sign, which is well beyond Hope Village. You
Yeah,
can no
it's a
longer
good-
see
it's a half-
any cars from there or anything. And all of a sudden, 5 minutes goes by and this freaking Camaro pulls up next to us on a road that they should have been behind us, not next to us.
Yeah, two
Right.
lane road.
Like
And,
you're side by side. Oh shit.
Yeah, and I look over and I'm like, "Holy shit, Mike! I think that's them." And it was. And I'm like, just go. You know, we have our daughter in the car. I'm like, I'm not trying to have any kind of talk, anything, whether it's peaceful or not. Just go. Just I don't want to
Right.
talk to
Oh
him.
yeah.
So we pull out and they start following us. And I mean, it was a good several, how many miles? At least like 2 miles.
It's a good 2-3 miles.
Down the road, they're following us. And I'm like, they're legitimately
Oh.
like tailing us. I'm like, I'm going to record this just in case anything happens because I was nervous.
And to give a mood for this, you got to understand this dude has some serious violent criminal convictions, and they all involve a felon having a handgun.
And usually beating a
great.
woman.
Yeah, always against women. So it's kind of like, dude, this guy is.
So yeah, I recorded it in the rearview mirror just so they could, you know, I'm like, okay, these people are following us in case I ever need this. And we get to the end of this like 2 mile road and there's a stop sign. You go left or right, and we didn't know which way to go. GPS still ain't up. So we turn left and it's a freaking dead end. And I mean like a bad dead end where like there's
shit.
trees down and like it's freaking dirt. And I'm like, oh my God, we're gonna crash the car. And we go to turn and they pulled in right behind us in that dead end.
Kind of like blocked us in.
Yeah, they halfway did block us in. And he comes jumping out of the car and I'm like, you gotta be effing kidding me. And I put the phone down because I didn't want to like hold a camera up in this dude's face because I didn't know what he was gonna do. So I'm like, well, I'm gonna keep it on, but I'm gonna point it down so you can still hear the audio, but you can't see his face. But he comes running out the car, waving his hands, going, you know, what's up, YouTuber? And just like that, and that freaking gave him the sound voice. And and comes charging at the car, trying to get Mike to get out, basically trying to antagonize him to get out. And like I'm just like, oh my God, just go, you know. And I mean, I cussed him out left and right, and we pulled up out of there, and he jumped back in the car. She was driving, and they kept following us after that for another, I don't know, like mile to the main road. And then we turned off, and I'm like, holy shit, dude, you know, they finally turned around. I'm like, what the hell just happened? You know, so we go and pull off in a gas station because I'm like, well, should I call and report this? And like, because I really, you know, I'm like, I don't want to call cops for any reason unless like it's a legitimate emergency, you know?
Yeah, it wasn't. That
Like,
sounds
God,
legitimate to me.
Well, I was like, should I call them and make a report? Because what if they're calling and lying right now, you know? So I'm like,
That's smart, because I was like, hell no. And she's like, no, I think they might.
I called, and sure enough, they had already gotten a call from them. And the lady was like, well, she said, listen, she goes, I'm going to get you to the police officer that's on duty right now. And I want you to tell him exactly what you just told me. And, you know, go from there because they're telling a different story, but it sounds, you know, sounds like you just went through something. I'm like, yeah, a little bit. So I did. I got that guy on the phone and told him, and sure enough, while I'm on the phone with him, he's telling us our options are like, you can go to the magistrate's office. It's really wild here. I've never lived in a place like this where you could do this. This is really freaking weird.
This sounds like some Dukes of Hazzard shit, is what it sounded like.
It is. The guy's like, you can go to the magistrate's office and, you know, file a complaint. You know, you just tell them what happened, and, you know, they can decide if they're going to like take out papers or go to court or whatever. And I'm like, what? So you can just go up there and like tell them this, and they'll just like make a report?
One of only 4 states in the union where a civilian can make a police report, essentially.
It sounds good in theory, but like it's ridiculous. I think
like
it's
you could
really
just walk
stupid.
in and say, hey, Mike, you know, whip my ass or whatever.
Just threw me across the road, and I mean, they could just
without a mark on you, without any proof.
They could
and
just make a report.
Now we're going to be in court. Like, I'm going to have to come to court, and you can blame me for this and that. I can.
So there's no. You don't have to have evidence. You don't have to have anything.
No,
no, you're supposed to bring it in court.
But yeah, which is interesting. So, you know, we had that video and everything, and I'm like, we got this on tape. You know, and the guy's like, yeah, take that up to the magistrate's office if you'd like, and show him. And I'm like, okay. And sure enough, while we're sitting at this gas station, these motherfuckers pull in.
Oh no.
And I'm like, sir? I said, they just pulled in here. And he's like, do they know that you're there? I said, yeah, they pulled in here and turned their car around because we're here. I'm like, they're looking at us. And he's like, I'm going to come up there right now. I'm like, okay.
So you're on the phone with 911 or with
with
dispatcher.
Officer that was on duty. Yeah.
It was actually the guy who came out.
So he came out and, and, you know, talks to both of us. And then there's a whole thing. We had to go up to the magistrate's office. They went up there too. and said that we were stalking them, and they made up all these lies. And because North Carolina will allow you to go up there and make a report like that, they were able to press a stalking charge to where we have to go to court now for that. And
Wow.
the state pressed a simple assault charge on Ronnie for what he did to us. So it's this whole, I mean, we have video evidence and stuff, so it's like I don't know what the fuck they're trying to, what they think
Yeah,
they can
she's
do,
saying in
but
the paperwork
it's ridiculous.
that we, I mean, she's saying, oh God, I'll have to
She
get to the
says
teeth
we
and assist
we
later.
prank phone called
Yeah,
them,
it's-
all kinds of
Oh, so
retarded.
she's making up stuff now.
Yeah, dude, all this stuff in the paperwork.
We've
Okay,
called them, never.
just think of it this way, and anybody who does listen to this and is like, oh, this does sound kind of stalky, they went there or whatever. I
No.
want you to look up the definition of actual criminal stalking and then consider what I'm about to say. I've never called them personally or on their, what I'll call it, a company line. I've never emailed them. I've never, I've only ever left one comment on a video of theirs, and it's because it mentioned me.
Uh-huh.
I've never, I've shown up there the one time at this location
Show up there.
at the neighbor's house. That's what I mean.
House.
So in other words, like we ain't showing up in person. We're not, and also as far
Nobody
as-
has contacted them on our behalf or
No.
third party ever.
and
Never.
we've never contacted people first, like, hey, do you know anything about Debbie and Ronnie?
They
No,
all
they
Right.
come to. We don't know people here.
Nope.
How the hell would I know who to contact?
They
But
all
then next thing you
do.
know, I mean, the closest thing to us contacting somebody might say, "Hey, so and so's sister wants you to call her." Like
Yeah.
you know, she's afraid to reach out, but you know, that's about it. So then, you know, as we go into this, we find out it's way more exploitive and just abusive and controlling, and it's really bad, man.
It's
Like
way
it's ugly.
worse than we imagine. Like the rabbit hole. Oh my goodness, that you could go down with this is just, it's unbelievable. We stumbled into something that I never in my life thought that I would ever
But
see.
I think we put it to an end before it became
At least
a real cult.
now, I think we put it to an end for now, but I think that she will be back at some point with a new.
What's
scam.
crazy is they obviously researched you guys. Like they looked you
Oh,
up.
hardcore.
Yeah.
You know,
They
they know
contacted
you.
Mike's job.
Yeah, they called my job, you know, basically,
Oh,
you know,
no.
it's kind of like the Democrat thing. Like
Mhm.
anything that they accuse you of is what they're doing. So I picked up
Projecting
on that
kind of thing.
Yeah, and so I mean, oh God, this is like so complicated. But during this whole thing, there had previously been the guy I mentioned. I hate saying his damn name. He doesn't deserve me to talk about him, but he's a little monster. But this little Appalachian Channel guy, he calls this thing Appalachian Channel. His name's John Ward. He usually goes and previous to Helene, he would go to like little general stores and places in Appalachia, and it was this real I don't know, wholesome thing that he did. He's this old guy.
Right. So it looks good on the surface.
Right. And he's the one who was basically covering Hope Village, getting her donations and everything. Well, previous to that, when the disaster first happened, people got to know him for covering a place called Camp Rosebud. And she, you know, that woman was providing relief and all this kind of thing. And it was this great thing. And he's got all this money coming in and all these donations. I mean, it was incredible. You should have seen it as like airplanes showing up with donations. Like,
What?
18
Wow.
wheelers. Like, dude, insanity, dude. Like, honestly. And then a little while into that, and this is, you know, before we know anything about this whole village thing or anything, just a couple months before. He puts a thing online that says halt all donations and says to not send anything else to Camp Rosebud, that he was there trying to help, and he found out this woman's a crook and that she's, you know, pocketing the money. She's not helping people. She's this horrible person. So we heard all this. Interesting story. We're like, damn, we kind of believed it, to be honest.
Mhm.
But along the way, because, you know, this is later, he's covering Hope Village. He starts going after us. So I start looking into that, and I'm like, you know what? I want to know if this woman is crooked the way that she said she is, or he said she is, or, you know, basically, is this legit? You know, like,
Wow.
what are we looking at here? Like, you know, and this guy has some reach, you know, a couple 100,000 subscribers or whatever.
Right.
So we look into it. We kind of go into it thinking, once again, lady's probably guilty. You know, he might have sensationalized it a little bit, but she's probably guilty. He couldn't have made all this shit up. What for? So we go there. interview her. We talk to all of her people. We look into her financials. We see the paperwork. We see and hear everything. All the videos she took during the time when he was there, behind the scenes and everything. That she shows us paperwork for the FBI looking into this whole thing.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
damn.
come to find out, dude,
She's not guilty.
no, not guilty at all. He ruined her just for the hell of it, to pocket some
Oh.
money and to get himself some attention. And
Yeah.
So this is the Camp Rosebud lady you're talking about now,
Yeah.
right?
yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Rosalie, we have a whole video on this that people really like a lot. That
She's become a good
I'll give you the link to. She's a good friend. She's a good person. I'm telling you, dude. Like I basically I sent spies, all kinds of shit, dude. Like I made sure that we knew what we were talking about 100%. So it turned into this thing between us and John, and there are back and forth diss videos. I don't know if
Oh,
you saw them or heard them.
yeah.
But dude, like I took just pretty much every statement he's ever said and gave the absolute proof that it's either made up or a complete and utter lie. He made a lot of stuff up about us.
Random weird stuff too.
Yeah,
Like,
really odd
thanks.
stuff.
So
How-
is he like a shill for this Sisters of Christ or Hope Village thing, or what's
Yeah,
where?
he was basically, I guess you could call him like their fundraiser or their promoter.
they're YouTuber.
Yeah.
Oh, they're
And he
YouTuber.
was
Okay.
simultaneously covering another one called Haven on the Hill, which is not of the ilk of Hope Village, or
No, yeah,
you know, it seems to be pretty
they got their own
legit.
thing going on there.
Yeah. But yeah, he has now finally backed away from Hope Village and went back to doing what he's doing.
Because of us.
But that whole beef with him, dude, I'll tell you this right now. Like, I know you've had to go back and forth with idiots before.
Yes.
Yeah, a few times.
This sounds like anything I've had going on, man. This is like child's play compared to what you guys have just.
It's like a movie, dude. I swear to God, I wish I didn't live in it.
It basically swallowed my life whole, dude.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you this, it affected my business. It affected everything.
It's affected our health.
Our health, just everything, legal status, whatever you want to call it. So, I mean, with him, when we made those first couple little videos, just kind of being a little, saying that the Hope Village thing was a little questionable and we kind of didn't like this thing or that, I reached out to him.
Yeah.
And I had actually talked to him before about the same thing Danielle mentioned earlier. Before we were thinking of going to Hope Village, we actually reached out to him first because he's the one with the voice.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we got a girl, he's got a camper, we need somewhere to put it. But anyways, he basically kind of blew me off on that. I'm like, well, that's screwed up if this guy's so wholesome and helpful. But I came back to him and I said, right when the Hope Village thing was happening, first started out, I came to him and I said, John, and this is before I knew that Camp Rosebud, that woman was legit. I came to him, I said, John, from one man to another, from someone who does marketing, for a living outside of this YouTube thing, I was like, you probably want to back away from Hope Village. I said, that Rosalie thing at Camp Rosebud, it looks to me like you're 0 for 2. Like, this is going to be the same type of situation. This is going to be bad for you. People are kind of influencing us to cover it. I think you're out there just trying to help. You need to like disconnect yourself from this.
Distance yourself, bro. It's not going to be good.
And he came at me like, oh my God, he called me everything but my name, dude. Like, I was sorry.
That Mike would have been one of the people that would have hung Jesus on the cross.
It was that bad.
And me being like in the last couple of years, dude, I mean, like the main thing that I pursue in my spare time and what's important to me is I'm a Christian apologetic. I'm very serious about my faith and the history that's tied to all of it and everything like that. I'll admit that got under my skin.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what, dude? Okay, F this guy. I was going to basically keep him out of it, but I'm just going to go take a look at, what really happened for real at this Camp Rosebud thing. And that's when it popped off with us and him.
Everything went insane after that. Our entire lives.
It's a fucking rap beef, dude.
It sounds like it. Yeah, it sounds like a rap beef.
What's funny about that is I don't know if I think I sent it to you, but like a month or two before all of this, I had engaged myself as a fan and retired rapper in the Ryan Up Church versus Adam Calhoun.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, dude. And I was back in my diss mode, dude. I was back in my diss bag.
Just for fun, basically.
So if you I don't know, did you see the videos or the videos with John? Did you take those videos in?
Oh, you talking about John Cash?
No. The John Ward, the Appalachian Channel guy. The videos were basically we were calling him out on his lies and reporting on the Camp Rosebud thing.
Ah, okay. Those are probably on your. I saw a shitload of interviews up there. I haven't watched.
Yeah,
I thought they were the same.
Yeah, those right there, I was really in my diss bag, dude. I was like, okay, this guy doesn't know what he's dealing with. Like pretty much for a job at one point in my life.
I was gonna say I diss people for a living.
Exactly. I take people apart. That's what I do.
Right.
And there's nothing you can say about me that's actually true that's going to bother me or affect my life. You know, like we're very open and we're very open. That's what we do. Like the handful of people that were really into our podcast were always like, yeah, dude, it's like we're in the living room with you. Like you guys are just telling us your life and your opinions and everything.
That's what I used to say. I used to love to listen. I'd watch every episode, especially when you got into the worst cars you ever owned, or those were great. You guys got to do those again, like something like that.
We're getting to it.
We have plenty more to add now.
Yeah, we do.
Oh, yeah, Jesus.
Yeah, we do. So yeah, like anyways, I know people are gonna hear this and be like, oh my God, this is all over the place. But there's all these kind of side things that do actually play an important enough role to talk about. We really truly did. I mean, I prayed on it, she prayed on it. We were pretty righteous in what we were doing, making sure that, okay, are we actually going to help people by doing this? Are we actually going to give people a voice? You know, is this worth our energy? And once we knew these people's stories and how they're being taken advantage of,
we met these people in person. I mean,
dude, we went out to homeless encampments and we met them, interviewed them on the spot. Like we really saw how these people were taken advantage of. Most of them are very good people, dude. That really just had bad luck or bad situations, dysfunctional, whatever.
And somebody played on their whole bad situation,
just exploiting,
basically propping up homeless people on YouTube and saying, "Oh my God, help us," and getting all this money and all this assistance and
giving
this attention,
them nothing,
and treating them absolutely horribly, dude.
And then when they left, they would say, "Oh, we kicked them out because they're drug addicts, or they did this, or they got caught with that, or whatever." And none of it turned out to be true.
No, we've talked to or interviewed everyone pretty much that was there for any considerable amount of time. And none of these people were in active addiction or anything. It was all that's made up. Like she destroys people, dude. She destroys their reputation all around town. I mean, these are small towns here. They're destroyed in all these in the county. She benefits from all of them, and now it's down to where there's, as of last week anyway, there was nobody there. But we know she's retooling, and she's never gonna stop.
Well, and there's people that were, there's been plenty of people along the way in this that they could have spoken, and they didn't want to. They were scared, and at first we were just like, oh my God, quit being cowards, like please just speak up. And now some of them I still think that way of, but most of them I get it now as to why they didn't want to speak, because I mean these people have tried to ruin our lives for the last several months. I mean, literally. I mean, got me kicked out of a charity, which honestly, hey, thanks, Debbie. You did me a fucking favor because those bitches are cunts. So, yeah, Bear Closet, you cunts. Go use that somewhere. Anyway.
Yeah, she was working her ass off for this little organization down the street from us that was kind of attached to our church.
What they were doing was righteous, but the people are not. So, anyway, I got kicked out of there because of this whole shenanigans. Come to find out, thank God it was good riddance. But anyway.
Yeah, and that's another thing I want to say real quick, and I mean, this may apply in other places and stuff. I never knew nothing about this. I was raised around all kinds of crime, and I'll admit in my younger years, I was involved in plenty of crime. But I'll tell you this, dude, I didn't know that in places like this, the charity is the crime. Like, dude, the amount of money and donations, especially at a time like when Helene happened.
The hurricane was
these people, it was a couple phone calls or a couple inboxes that got Danielle kicked off the board of her charity.
By people that didn't even know me and did not know the people that they were talking to either. They just believed them. They're like, oh my God, it's bad press. Back away. Oh my God, kick Danielle out. It's bad press.
In other words, we would end up uncovering them, which along the way, some of them we have, but we're not talking about it.
It almost sounds like there's a charity, like a criminal charity network from what you guys are describing.
Yep, you said that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But no, that is a little bit of what it is, and I'm not saying all of them.
No, there's some really amazing ones and amazing people here by far that
Yeah,
have
we
done great
never
work.
saw people help people like we did
No,
after Helene here. That's
but
honestly
there's
true.
also been all of the really nefarious, awful shit has reared its ugly head after this hurricane because it's just prime time for bottom feeders to sneak in, and everyone's too busy to, doing so much stuff and trying to rebuild their lives and everything. You don't notice. You don't notice all these people that are, coming in and scamming the hell out of everyone.
And I know you're into strategy and things like that, like I am. You're a
Oh
pretty
yeah.
analytical person, and you got to think this was a really dumb idea for them because you got to think Danielle's dedicating her life to helping people who have nothing, who have lost everything, and then she's also training and anti-trafficking,
For the last 4 years almost
helping
now.
people.
What?
So yeah,
Mhm.
so
Damn.
like if you kick that person off of doing that, well, now they got to find another way to help people and give them a voice, right? So what's
Oh
she
yeah.
going to do? She's going to investigate you.
Well,
She's going to destroy you.
Right, right. Now, like
found
since you turned
people
on
are
me,
being
I'm gonna.
exploited. I'm like, well, you're basically in a way trafficking them. You're
Yeah,
exploiting them. So I'm like, it's that on a lower level. I'm like, so
like
yeah, I'm
that's
not
right
gonna.
in Danielle's
I'm not gonna
wheelhouse,
give
dude.
these
Like, what are
people
you
a
thinking?
voice.
Well,
Just
it
listen,
sounds to
man.
me like they're trying to filter out the good people for the
Yes,
Yeah,
scumbags for the network.
that's
That's what it's sounding like.
well,
Because
yeah. You
this
don't
didn't
want
sound
that.
right
like just
now, yeah,
one
I
cult.
think that's what's left is basically the shit for the most part. There's a few
Yeah,
good ones left, but not many.
Yeah, but
yeah.
we've like you said, dude, like it's been very dramatic in a lot of different ways.
As you can hear.
Yeah, like we
Ah,
try not to even talk about it. That's the funny thing. So that's why I'm like all over the place, like kind of letting it out right now because
Yeah.
it's been an unbelievably I don't know. It's like it's something that I've never been through
It's
before.
taken over our lives. It's taken over our kids' lives. These people they got our children involved to where I
how?
had to go to court here and get a freaking protection order against a guy.
Oh shit!
Um,
What happened? They
yeah.
showed up at the school or something, or what happened?
No, we got a message from that crazy John Ward dude at like 3 o'clock in the morning, like telling us that he knew my son's bus schedule and what time he
Oh,
got off the bus and where and like when we were home and when we weren't home and that he's home alone all the time supposedly, which he's not. And yeah,
they
I
knew
mean
his name too. They know his
oh
name.
yeah,
Oh
name,
yeah, yep.
very
And
personal
they
information.
contacted my kids' moms up north.
Yeah, yep.
And the
Damn.
thing is that's got me seething, and the reason why I'm letting it out right now is these people don't understand, man. Like up north, and especially like say I don't know, 10 years ago,
They'd
this
be gone.
this would have ended in minutes. You,
Oh
I,
yeah.
there's no other way to say it, but I'll just say it that you would have never seen these people again.
No.
Right.
That would have been the end of all of it within minutes. The second my kid's name was said. So it's kind of like, okay, how do I handle this in my new life? Like, what do I
Yeah.
do? Do I get a lawyer? I can't afford that, you know? Like,
Right.
do I just continue to give people a voice and put it out there and just pray on it and know that, in the end, the
But
positive will so that's really what it was. We just continued to do what we thought was right.
We did go to the court in our county and make sure that they were aware of the situation and got a mutual no contact with that guy in particular. For that's good for a year, so that he was no longer allowed to contact us whatsoever. And I made it known to the people that had given that information out, who then outed themselves through screenshots, anyways, online. That we knew who they were and what they did, and that they knew who they were and who they did too, and that I would tread lightly.
Yeah.
So I mean, we did
that's
what we could as far as legal wise protection, and then I have my own home protection that is legal anyway that I can use if I
Yeah.
need to. So
We don't got a
I was
gun,
just, yeah, that was my
thankfully.
next question. I hope you guys invested in a little bit of
oh yes,
firepower,
there's
if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
yeah,
don't make me Rittenhouse that ass. Stay away
yeah,
from my house.
yeah.
Right. That's wow. So, let's talk a little more because some of what was going on was interesting. They had them isolated to the point where
Oh,
they weren't allowed to have vehicles, they weren't allowed to leave. What talk about that a little bit.
well, most of them were in a position where they didn't like have vehicles, but they were always at both times, but the first time worse. They were miles and miles from anything.
Yeah.
But they were told from the beginning, a lot of these people simply needed like an ID to go back to work and stuff like
They
that.
needed help getting simple stuff.
Yeah, get to the pharmacy, get a ride to work, go get an ID. They were promised all of these things. Like,
Yeah.
we'll get you to your appointments.
We'll get you to an interview.
Yeah, we'll get you to your job. We'll do what we can do to. None of that ever happened. So basically, they were plopped on this land, miles and miles from everything. And like I said, the documentary does, I think, a good job of summing that up pretty quickly with some visuals and everything. But they were put in the middle of nowhere.
In the freezing cold, too. That's
Oh,
the
God,
main
yeah.
thing,
It was
is that
bad.
when they first got these people in there, we were in the middle of a deep freeze. And so this area isn't really used to, Michigan crazy cold. Well, we're used to that. But
Right.
even us being used to it, this was some really extreme cold weather. And there's people that are living all over the place that are displaced from the hurricane, or they're homeless, whatever the case. So they're freezing, like literally freezing.
So you go to them and say, "Hey,
We
man,
got a warm place for you to be."
Yeah.
So they got.
So they prey on that. That's
Yeah.
well, here was interesting. You talked about, how they promise these people things. How did you guys there's a part where the woman's talking to a lady on the phone and she's like, "Honey, I can come pick you up right now." Has he been beating you up?
oh, this idiot put it on her YouTube channel."
She put that on YouTube.
Yeah. So
I
you
mean,
guys
it's
you guys clipped that
unbelievable.
from the channel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that woman she had no idea that phone call was publicly played for, hundreds of thousands of freaking people on that woman's YouTube channel. And that is like her private, most, intimate, like sensitive moment.
And if you listen to that call, she was in danger from an abusive person. She'd almost been beaten to death. Not
It
only
sounds
did they
like
say her
yeah.
name, but everybody knows where she's going to be now.
Exactly where she's gonna be.
Absolutely dangerous.
I already talked to that woman quite a bit but obviously by the time we released the documentary, and she's an amazing person.
Yeah.
But
the one that was
even
getting beat up is what you're saying.
Yeah,
Is an amazing
yeah.
girl. Okay.
She's
Yeah,
an
there's
amazing
a 4-part interview with her on the
Yeah,
channel.
it's Jane. Yeah. Well, we didn't even know that phone call was public. We'd never seen it or anything at that point until we had already been well done with all the interviews, and we were in the middle of editing and putting together the actual documentary itself, and we came across that, and my jaw hit the floor.
Well, yeah, the way we came across it is funny too, because if you watch the documentary, there's a woman we interview who was part of a church group that came up to help Hope Village set up initially.
Wow.
And she kind of picked up on a lot of the shady stuff going on, the abuse, the control, all of that stuff. And just in passing, in a conversation with me, she sent me a message and said, "I still cannot believe that she put that phone call out there with Jane."
We had no idea.
And I said, what are you talking about? And she goes, "Yeah, go to this video at like the 7-minute and 8-second mark or whatever." And I go to it and I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And that's how we actually, like, I don't think this woman realizes she screwed enough people over to where all day, every day, I'm talking 24 hours a day for months, it was nothing but messages with timestamps and details and
footage and all kinds of.
Well, she obviously did it to make herself look good, is what it sounded like. Like, look at me, I'm helping these people,
Yeah, and she didn't cover her tracks well enough, I guess.
He wants to look like a martyr.
The slightest bit of effort, and she could have been a lot more successful, in my opinion. But hey, I'm not a cult leader or an organized.
You gotta thank her in the credits, man. Like, thank you for the clip.
Right? Thanks for all the material. Shoot.
Yeah, no kidding. You made this really easy. I didn't have to do much of an investigation.
Right, because in my mind, I thought, how the hell did they get close enough to get a videotape of this woman, who's supposedly the enemy? But now it makes sense. She got it off her YouTube, right off her channel.
Well, it's John's YouTube, isn't it? John recorded.
Yeah, that was.
So I think it's the Appalachian channel that has that on.
It's probably down at this
But
point.
yeah,
that's what he would do. Come to
they
find
took
out,
a lot of videos.
There was a couple other really. When he came here to cover Helene, on top of the Camp Rosebud thing, there was another situation where he got, I don't know, he raised over $100,000 for somebody who was actually a what's the word I can use on YouTube, man? Somebody who
you can say anything on our show, you know that.
Yeah, I can say anything on that. Okay, so
basically, the dude was
a
diddler of his own kid.
Yeah.
Oh, he's a pedo.
And,
okay, got you.
John knew that. At least at least part way into the fundraising, maybe not ahead of time, but he didn't stop that money from coming in. He didn't walk away. But the thing is, he would make these videos, get a ton of views, get a ton of money. Then the video's gone and he's on the road again. He was doing something that you wouldn't think you can kind of get away with these days, that everything can be traced, but nobody cared, dude. It was like absolute just craziness here after this disaster. He's the only guy that was really out here covering it. And his fan base is just like the same older people that come on there, like I said, that watch the wholesome stuff. So they're not really checking on any of this. They're just, to be honest, he took my advice and walked away from covering this homeless crap because it was destroying his views, dude. And his comments, as people are like, we're really tired of this. Go back to
see the general store.
yeah. We want
Right.
to see Mammy and Sons, like whatever hardware store again.
Right. They just want that simple stuff. They don't want all this controversy and craziness.
Yeah, we're tired of hearing about
Like, who the
fentanyl.
hell is Minivan musician? We don't want to hear about them no more. Stop talking.
So,
Damn.
Yeah, and then, like I said, as we dug into it and we talked to people, Danielle's thing that she's always been interested in as far as true crime goes has always been cults.
Well, since I was a little kid.
And I dig it too because I'm into abnormal psychology and things like that. So it was like,
it fascinates me.
It's funny though. It took us a minute. Like we're looking into it, we're hearing stuff, we're seeing things, and it's almost like we just looked at each other one day. And I think I said it. I said,
yeah, it sounds real culty.
I said, this is a fucking cult. And,
wow.
And the thing is like we said, dude, it's like, okay, it sounds like it's just a criminal thing and all of that, but she really was trying to control these people. She's building for the future. She's got them snitching on each other.
Aspect too.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's marketed.
This is interesting because my definition of a cult, I'm thinking of somebody who proselytizes and tries to create themselves to be the Lord, the savior. They pray to something, but in this case, her Lord is basic needs. You know what I'm saying? That's what she uses.
That's a good way to say it.
And she wants to be the god of all of it, and
the one who saved everybody.
The angel, you know.
Wow.
Got into it too because they used, their name is Sisters in Christ, Hope Village.
Right.
And so they used the God aspect. And then
she claims to be an ordained minister.
Yeah,
oh, Jesus.
Well,
yeah, literally.
We started saying that, like, people were asking people, like, okay, well, do they do like church services? Because they were saying that they did and advertising it like they did. And they were all faith based and to get the Bible thumping, religious people's donations. And it worked. So we asked, like, do they do church and stuff? And all these people were telling us, no, they did that like 3 times. And, this pastor doesn't even come here anymore. He's not allowed to because he asked questions and blah, blah, blah. We found out that we found that stuff out. Then they magically decided to start doing church services and posting them on their YouTube channel.
Yeah, every time that we criticize, dude, like if we say, "Hey, they're never there," next thing you know, they live there.
That's interesting. Like, so they were monitoring you and what you guys were saying.
Hardcore. Way more than we monitored.
They're probably half our views. Like honestly,
that's why. Well, I'll tell you that documentary you got. That's probably the most views I've ever seen. On your guys' shit. I think today
John Ward Gifts video did better, but I took that one down.
Oh yeah, we had
because it was just I went like I'm gonna make it public again, or I'll just send you a private link.
We had to take down the legal.
You will laugh your ass off. Like honestly, that was like that was the podcasting version of the last battle in 8 Mile, and I just dropped my pants instead of walking my white ass.
So you just tore into him just like. Where it's like drop the mic type tear into him,
I mean, he got a little dirty, like I said, with us making things up about us.
Mm-hmm.
I never made nothing up about this guy.
No, not once.
Ever. Even if this was like some old like rap battle type of thing, I wouldn't even done that then.
Mm-hmm.
Like that to me, that's I don't know. There's rules of engagement.
Cheating, man. That's just like wow.
There really is. There's rules of engagement, and if you want to try to get clever with me, dude, use some real life stuff. Make it hyperbolic, that's fine. But you don't just make stuff up, dude.
Yeah.
It's stuff that can cause investigations into our family and stuff. Like basically kind of, I don't know, dry threatening to call CPS on us for absolutely nothing.
Yes, literally.
I mean, the scary thing is the thing with the kid. I'm going back to, with them calling, saying, I know your kid's bus schedule. That's some scary shit.
Man, when we got that message, I was like, I cannot even describe to you how I felt, because it was the way it was portrayed was that there was somebody that had been watching our house, and basically there was. I mean, and it's just, I mean, there was days where it's like, okay, my son would get off the bus and I wouldn't be home for an hour. He's of legal age to be
Usually
here.
because she's a block away doing charity.
Down the
Right.
street, charity work. Yeah, literally.
But he's
3 or
safe.
4
He's
doors
good
down.
normally,
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And I mean, it was just like
But
the
you can
thought of
twist things
that,
like that and get investigations open.
and the thought of somebody
sick.
watching my house and like my kids. I mean, just that's the worst feeling in the whole
is.
fucking world.
Yeah, your safety being taken away, your sense of safety.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Well, if somebody's
You can
watching
take my
you,
safety away, I don't give a shit. But don't
Right.
touch my children's safety. That is where I will lose my shit for real.
Yeah.
oh yeah, anybody would. Any
mean,
respectable
Our
parent would.
son is pretty mature for his age, so like he knows. I mean, God, he heard all about it. He saw me making the documentary. Like,
Oh, he knows all about all of
we
this.
want him to know
Yeah.
how these sick people operate. These people
Yeah.
that exploit others. Like, keep plenty of your innocence as a kid, but we're gonna make sure that your mind is armed to protect yourself.
And
Like I
he's
Yeah,
said,
that's
well
smart, man. That's
educated
smart.
with all this stuff anyways, because he's seen me, in the anti-trafficking community now for the last 3 years. He just came to a kids safety event that we did in South Carolina with me for 3 days this past weekend for the organization that I work with. So he's seen, and heard.
Sounds like he
all of
lives a
the
kids
things.
safety event.
Huh?
Sounds like he lives a kids safety event.
Yeah, I mean, in
Yeah.
a way, we don't shelter him, but like I don't shelter my kids, but they know what is out there that's real that could hurt them. So like he knows that there's bad people in the world. He knows that there's a lot of good people too, but it's just,
he knows
Oh.
that dad is never gonna shut up talking about him and calling him out too, so that
when other people's lives are at stake and they need to have a voice, he understands that as well. So it's like, he knew that no matter what, we were going to make sure he was safe and keep, him and his sister safe no matter what, but that we had reasons for why we were doing what we were doing. And this might sound like it's a lot to explain to a kid, but like if you met our son in person, you would understand he gets it.
Yeah, he does.
Well, I'm guessing he's not. I mean, he's probably close to his teens. I'm thinking.
Almost. He's
So-
11.
Well,
Right.
yeah, that's preteen. So he's a preteen.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's when you start thinking, and also too, I want to post I'm going to post the link to your guys' documentary in the description of this, so that
Oh,
way
thank you.
people can click on that. We're probably going to get some hate mail.
Maybe.
You might. I don't know.
I'm
But,
guessing.
I think I'm actually somewhat proud of that documentary because I don't know. There's a lot of work put into it,
Oh, he worked his ass off on that.
and
Worked his ass off. He did all the editing, so I can't take credit for none of that shit. And man, he was up for like a week straight at the end of it.
and I've put so much time into researching what makes a cult and the types of the psychological conditions and things that go into a cult leader and the members, and to the point where I feel like I could literally teach a class on cults.
Oh, 100%.
I mean,
you talk it like, even in the parts where you're saying, cult behaviors and this and that. You could tell that you were studying this shit. This isn't just coming out of your ass, man.
Yeah, and I mean, I
Yeah,
didn't,
for sure.
I went and just learned from the best, essentially. I went to the people who are the utmost, most respected experts on this stuff and just really took their content in and really cross-referenced it with other experts' content and just said, okay, well, this is, and I mean, there's a lot of it out there right now. There's like online MLM cults. There's all kinds of weird things. And so it's not
Jesus.
always a person that's like the savior. But there are certain, if people watch the documentary, they'll see there's certain characteristics. So if somebody you love or know is getting involved in something that just kind of, I don't know, your gut feeling feels like it isn't totally right, it's almost a checklist to go down and go, okay,
Yeah.
out of those 7 symptoms, how many are there? 5? Well, then it is a psychological cancer.
Right. Like you have the
Wow.
criteria for cults, kind of thing.
Yeah. It's not just like Jim Jones anymore. It's like there's a whole realm of cultism that wasn't there before that is now with like technology and computers and all this shit. So it's interesting.
Yeah,
That's wild. That's amazing. You're right. Great analogy, by the way, with the Jim Jones, because it's not
Oh,
just.
he's my favorite. I mean, not that sounds terrible to say that, but he's my
Well,
But I
our
know what you're saying,
logo.
like the Charles
His Jones
Manson,
song.
those kind of guys. This is
Oh,
this is
yeah,
a new breed of
Manson's
Charles
pretty
Manson.
awesome.
Oh yeah, Manson's
Not that we
impressive,
like
too.
these people, but I'm,
I mean, not in an idolized type
They're
way, but as far
fascinating. They
as,
are
like,
fascinating.
they're very fascinating people to dig into their lives and their minds and just how someone becomes that. That's what got me interested in cults as a kid. It's very interesting stuff.
yeah. So with the channel, we're basically going to be doing our regular, just important topics like our regular podcast type of stuff. But I'm always going to be kind of working on one big project like this documentary to put out every few months.
Yeah.
Kind of like
nice.
True Stream Media will do. Like they'll do like 2 big ones a year or whatever. That's
Oh,
kind
Trilogy
of
Media? Is that what
huh?
you
No,
said?
it's
I thought you said Trilogy
No,
Media.
TrueStream.
Oh, okay.
TrueStream does like a very similar thing where they kind of do regular content, but they'll have a big thing or two every year they put out, and basically it's a lot like that. And that came to mind because they had actually showed us some love on like our Helene coverage and stuff,
Mm.
and I really like the way they do stuff. But like right now, I'm going into an even more controversial subject. Um, that I hope doesn't drag Danielle into the depths of
Yeah,
hell.
I'm probably not gonna do as much of it as he is. I'm kind of letting him take the wheel on that and do what he wants to do. So I might not be on a lot of those episodes. We'll
Do you
see.
want to say what it
ain't gonna
is, or
be
you
tough
want
to
to you
follow.
want to
That'll
save
probably
it?
be one. Well, it'll be.
Tell him.
No, I'll say it. I'll give like a quick little thing. Basically, I decided to. I've been studying a particular subject that really affects the world right now, and I decided I'm going to write a book on that subject. After I finish all of my due diligence. I know. Anyways, it's so hard to talk about something without like totally saying it. But
So you don't want to say fully
basically,
what it is then, as of yet.
no, because
I don't want people to get the wrong idea because I don't know if you know how to really word it.
basically I'm researching the original tribes that you
Oh,
find in the Bible and where their bloodlines led to, what groups of people that they led to, and how that affects the world today.
Yeah, with all
And
our Middle Eastern conflicts and whatnot.
yeah,
yes. Well, those are kind of
and
culty too, man.
Yeah,
very,
they are.
very, and yeah, basically when you really start digging into it, you find out it's one of the most important topics you could possibly cover. There's people that have been doing it lately. I'm not piggybacking them. Like Candace Owens did a similar thing. Like a lot of people are hitting on it, even Dave Smith.
Hmm.
I'm not piggybacking them. This is more from the stuff I found being, basically a studying apologetic. I look into all that stuff as a hobby. And I decided, why don't people need to know what I'm finding. I'm going to write this. But then I decided I'll also make a project much like this documentary. And I'll make it interesting for people, even if they're not, quote unquote, into that.
Right.
It'll be an interesting documentary. It'll kind of show the way that certain things are twisted, whether it's by the media or politically or a combination of both, and how it affects, your life. Like,
Yeah.
so yeah, that's basically what I'm working on. But we have some episodes planned that are pretty dang cool, but they are a little closer to our regular episodes. We do research on it.
Hit on
Right.
our politics and whatnot,
Well,
Yeah.
Well,
We haven't been
I
able
mean,
to-
damn. After this, it's kind of hard to go back. You know what I'm saying? You're like,
It is.
It is. Yeah,
you
it is.
open Pandora's box now. It's kind of hard to go back to, let's go find cheap places to go on vacation and the stuff you guys used to
Yeah,
do.
it is. Yeah, I know.
So I mean, our normal political stuff, like we're doing one that had to do with the I call them riots that were happening, and
Yes.
but see,
Recently,
and they
yeah.
are still happening in some places.
Oh, now they are with you talking about the ICE riots that are going on?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah,
the peaceful protests that are happening.
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Peaceful,
And
all
my
right.
angle on that was, and I wanted, Danielle's going to give her input because trafficking plays a role in some of that.
Yeah, it does.
Oh yeah.
But my angle is, and this is a question I think a lot of us ask as far as my faith and whatnot. what is the Christian apologetic way of looking at this? Like, what does the Bible tell us to do in this situation as part of this American population? Like, what are you how are you supposed to look at this?
Right.
Are you
Do you
supposed to
turn
say,
the other
like,
cheek, or do you fight it? Do you
Right.
what's yeah.
and there's a whole lot in the Bible that actually kind of covers this and talks about your borders and talks about keeping your people safe and everything. So I'm kind of giving away what the viewpoint ends up being, but what I mean is that we're always going to cover something either with some sort of personal expertise or experience, or we're going to do our due diligence of research into it. But it's not going to be a giant thing that takes up hundreds of hours of my time like that project did.
Yeah,
No,
that
Maybe
was
a year, twice a year, it'll be something
well,
like
and
that.
I hope that we don't. I mean, I don't know. It's a weird thing to say. It's a weird. I hope that we don't get involved again in something like that ever, ever. But at the same time, it's like, if we do find something, because there's other people that have hit us up since then
Oh God.
that have wanted, like, have sent Mike a bunch of things and like, please, investigate this or investigate that. Like, I
see,
have
you
this
guys,
on
yep,
them.
you guys are now you guys are warriors now. You're
Yeah,
fighting.
it's like, oh, we've got all this footage or we've got all these documents. Like, please look into this for us. And it's like, oh God,
And yeah, man, one in particular would be huge, but I'm just
I don't know. We need a big break from that, I think, for a little while, unless it's something that like really, bangs on our heads really hard. Like, yo,
and you
we
got to
gotta do
think it's
this.
like you're gonna if you're doing this, and I know you can picture this because you've done the podcasting thing for a long time and your own way kind of investigated things, learned things about people and situations. You're gonna put yourself out there, risk, legal troubles, physical trouble for your family, all this stuff. And in the end of it, you're doing it for the right reasons. But then if you don't say things or present them just right, everybody's against you now.
Yeah.
It's like
Right.
you get attacked. It's like, hold on a second, I was trying to help somebody. Like, what is this?
Well, and you got to make sure it's truthful and that type of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, it's a lot of
There's
work.
I had a situation years ago with somebody, which I'll tell you off the air, who you guys know, who was telling me some shit, and I thought, oh my God, what a horrible story. And come to find out, it was all his crazy fabricated psychosis, pretty much.
Oh, well,
I have an idea probably of who you're talking.
yeah, I could picture that.
Let's just say the initials are BS.
Yes.
BSKP. I probably said too much there.
Wait. Oh, that's wait.
Don't say
No,
his
I'm not gonna
name.
say it out loud. I'm just trying to think if it's who I'm thinking of.
It's a
I
white
just can't
guy.
remember.
Oh, it's a
What?
white guy.
Yeah,
Oh,
white guy.
wait a minute.
Oh, different person.
You know what's
Okay.
interesting about that? Is that particular person, I think I told you before, I even had some smoke with that dude back in the day when I was rapping. I'm talking a long time ago, like
Oh.
20 or more years ago. And but he's a friend of a friend who's on our podcast all the time.
Yeah.
He's a friend of Adam's.
Oh, he's not a
Uh,
bad guy. I just think he moved out of Detroit and was
yeah.
trying to tell me that he was having, it sounded like up borderline what you guys got going on, but it was dealing with the police department in that particular
Oh,
city.
Yeah, and see the thing is, man, is like as much as I thought that dude was full of crap in every way, some of that wild stuff he's telling you is actually true.
Really?
Some of it, I know exactly what situation you're talking about,
Yeah.
and it is bad. On I understand what you found, but what I'm trying to say is that some of the wild stuff that I thought, like, God, get out of here with this crap. When the mutual friend would tell me things,
Right.
a lot of it was actually true, man. That dude has made himself a very interesting life. I'll just put it that way.
He's dabbled in a lot of different things.
And some are just wild. Like you're like, this guy's got to be making this up for like rap content. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I thought for a
it was.
while too.
Yeah, and I'm like, no, this is actually partly true. But yeah, like that. The thing is, man, is I will say this, and I don't know if I can speak for Danielle. I think I can. I don't know if she wants to admit it, but like as stressful as this is, there's nothing better than investigating something and being able to put that puzzle together and solving it and helping people in the meanwhile and making art out of it. It is a rush. I've always loved investigative journalism.
Oh, yeah.
But like she said, you got to be real selective about what you get involved in. Basically, I just look at it like, um, let's say I was to not step into this situation. How many people will it hurt? Is there a chance that someone else may step in and take care of this instead of me? Like
No, nobody would have stepped in
not
and
this
taken care
thing,
of
but
this.
I'm saying in general. Like if it's something
Right.
Yeah.
else. So, I mean that's the thing. And I mean the stuff that people have come to me with,
Well,
who
you
knows?
guys had real documentation in this case. I mean, it was you could watch
Lot.
the documentary and it was like, oh, that's real. Where in the other thing I was telling you about, all it was his account of what was going on
Yeah,
there.
Right.
you can't,
You
that's
know,
the thing. It's like even if it sounds like, and you know in your heart, even like if it's the most truthful thing in the world, if you're presenting it to someone, you cannot just present it on like, I know this is true. You
right?
can't. You have to have something to back it up. Otherwise, it's just like, it's like John Ward saying, I know without a doubt I was there. It's like, John,
But
And the
obviously,
thing is,
yep.
it's like, I mean, with our stuff, if people they get caught up in the smoke, and it sounds just like allegations going back and forth between us and her, us and John. But if people actually pay attention, go back, rewatch the stuff. I always say when I'm about to state an opinion,
yeah.
I always say when it's a hypothesis or a theory, I always say that it's this person I'm
Alleged.
interviewing story.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
alleged.
according to them.
If
Yeah.
Value Team didn't already basically trademark allegedly, I would probably make T-shirts that said that on it. But yeah, like we really were careful about that. So like any of the stuff that's coming at us, we got a cease and desist letter.
Mike, we
By
should.
that same
Oh
group?
Lord. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It is the biggest joke of a piece of document that I've ever piece of document. I can't even.
It is a piece of
speak right.
document. That's
Yeah,
what it is.
it's the biggest joke of anything I've ever seen in my life. It is all misspelled. It's the worst. There's like no grammatical anything in it.
There's no
It's like
punctuation.
run-on sentences, no punctuation,
Like
no.
somebody just typed. Wow.
They did. They just typed it up themselves
It
and
was
then
an
had the
online
notary
template.
stamp it.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we cease and desisted her cease and desist.
Yeah, come to find out, you can do that.
Yeah, yeah. So basically, stop threatening me with lawfare and all these sorts of things because everything you said in your letter to me is untrue
And we
and
can
documentable.
prove it that it's not true.
So it's like I had to take
Wow.
time out of my life to create that too. But I
You
used to.
freaking pay a notary.
I wrote contracts for my own company, for a long time. So like mine came out honestly great.
Oh, it sounds like a law office wrote it.
Yeah, I mean, damn, I shouldn't have said that because maybe they thought they did. But,
Well, it was our law office. They just don't know which one.
and
Well,
I
now you
sent
got
it.
Chat
Yeah.
GPT, man. You can do some wild shit with Chat GPT.
Yes, you
See,
can.
should have used that. If they would have had half a brain, they could have done that.
That's that's
Right.
a funny thing. They obviously weren't even smart enough to use something like that.
I know.
No, there's some mental deficiency going on there, and there's I think some substance stuff going on there.
Oh, definitely.
Again, I think
allegedly, but yeah.
Right. You don't know that for sure, but you think it's pretty seems positive that there might be something
I
going.
definitely think so.
Yeah, and from my expert opinion,
Right. You got to word
But
things
no,
a certain way.
we've been during this whole thing, especially by the old man John and stuff, we were portrayed like, oh, this guy's a rapper and they're into Dexter because
Oh, yeah, we like serial killers. I'm like, yeah, we do.
because I did
Well,
a music video with Hallucinate where I played Dexter basically.
Yes.
in the video.
That
Oh,
is
wow.
like my favorite video ever. Yeah.
Yeah,
So they went back on your music too.
Oh yeah.
Yes,
And it's
yes.
obscure too. I don't have it on my official channel no more.
Yeah.
So
you have to dig for it.
yeah, you got to really dig for that. And but yeah, they're basically because we cuss and
Oh, yeah,
we're from
We're drug addicts
Up
and
north.
criminals and just, these horrible fucking monsters people, I guess.
but they kept giving me material because now we're gonna have an episode on whether or not people down here hate Yankees that moved on.
Yeah.
Because
I'm
that was
sure they do.
They do.
John's middle of the night attacks to me, like when he was drunk or whatever, just angry, seething. He would just go on and on about how people like me or people like us think we're better than people down here. And
Get your northern asses back up north.
Oh, so yeah, so that was his inner.
Northern accent and all this stupid shit.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that was obviously a point of contention with him.
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
That's-
so I mean, our whole thing now is like, well, wait a minute, that's a good episode. Like,
Yeah,
hold on, we need to
should
talk about that.
Do people really hate
So I started asking people, and I got
Some don't.
so that's like they gave us a lot of material and a lot of fuel for the podcast. Like, well, now we did this great project. People are receiving it very well. So now we got to continue to kind of live up to well researched, well put together pods. And I'm just like, okay, great, let's do it.
Thanks, Debbie. Thanks, Ronnie.
Yeah,
Thanks.
kick me in my ass to work, you know. I mean, so that's kind of where we're at.
That's wild, man. So, okay, give the name of the document. It's like criminal psychology, something.
You have to.
No, I've changed it. Basically, if you just go to the Minivan Musician podcast on YouTube, you'll find it as actually, I'll make sure it's the main video when you visit the channel.
It should just say cult documentary, shouldn't it?
Yeah, it's called A New and Growing Cult.
Yeah,
is the name of it.
Right,
but I've changed the title a few times, once for a legal reason, another time for keywords and, you know, things like that. You know, someday I don't know, maybe make some videos explaining to people how to really get things rolling when you're a small channel. But a lot of it has to do with how you're obviously titling things, keywords, things like that, and knowing your audience and who you're trying to target. But yeah, that's what it is. I've changed it a million times, but it's the only, you know, 2 hour and some change video we have on
it.
With 1.2K views or something. I was just looking at it today. I was just like, holy shit.
Yeah, the one going back and forth with John that I called the Lion King, like lying, that one had like 12,000.
Yeah.
Like, that one did go well. And what's funny about that, I know this burns him up, dude. Like when we were in court with this guy, he was allowed to ask us questions.
Oh, for the people.
Oh, he cross-examined? He didn't have an attorney, so he cross-examined you?
Well, we went.
That's what they do here.
Yeah,
like,
that was for just the personal protection order when I filed for it because of him saying the stuff about our son. I'd come to find out. I guess you do that here in court when you go up for a personal protection order. The judge will have you come down there, and both parties come down, and you get to ask each other questions while you're on the stand next to the judge. And
did he say like me, you know, so is it you don't want me coming by your house or you know, I never got a protection order against anybody, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah, I've never heard of this being a thing, and I don't know if this is how it is everywhere because I've never done one before. But I mean, I mean, he got to ask us questions, you know, like involving or regarding what we had accused him of on the paperwork.
And dude, all he did was he was obsessed with YouTube subscriber numbers and views that we were getting because of his name.
Dude,
I mean, this guy's literally cross-examining me going, how many subscribers did you have before you did a video about me? Like, I don't know.
Nothing to do with YouTube either. We never said anything about YouTube in the paperwork, nothing at all. We did clarify to the judge when he asked, like, you know, how we know each other, was that it was through YouTube, and we kind of had a little beef going on through that, but it had nothing to do with our personal lives, families, children, nothing. And that was it. And the judge was like, okay, well, YouTube is, you know, that's freedom of speech. That ain't my place to touch. This has nothing to do with what's said here. And that's all John would talk about.
Oh my God, the judge ended up yelling at him.
So he got cut off by the judge.
Oh yeah, I had secondhand embarrassment from my enemy.
Yeah,
like just think of what it takes to have that.
The judge is like, you will not tell me how to run my courtroom. That's one thing you will not do.
Yeah. That's awesome. So you got to see him get torn up. It must have been hard not to make faces or laugh or something.
And her,
He brought her as a fucking witness.
Oh yeah,
she was the witness.
There, the judge goes, state your name, and she goes, I'm Sisters in Christ Hope Village. I help save the lives of homeless people over here in Rutherford County.
Oh, dude, you're in the same courtroom with the same woman?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
This is spicy, man.
And you got to understand, dude, like when we went to court for the so-called stalking thing and the assault and all that, this guy would be outside with his son with a mic in our face,
like
dude.
Reporters.
Yeah, like reporters. Like
what?
This is dude.
Jumping on us like the fucking press. It was so creepy.
It was creepy. It was cringy. It was just
Just to see us yell. They just wanted to see us go off and swear because I guess when you say the word fuck, you're like the biggest piece of shit in the planet here, I guess.
That's big for them. It's the Bible Belt, you know what I'm saying? So they're
because a bunch of them are at home beating the shit out of their wives and whatnot, but you know, fuck is just the ultimate.
Oh yeah,
evil.
that was what I was gonna say before, is like how he was portraying us. It's like in real life, okay, we might cuss a little bit or something like that, but we don't do crime. We don't do drugs at all.
No.
We don't drink at all. You know, I normally just train in the gym, spend time with my family,
And go to work.
and promote a small business. Like literally, I have probably the most like boring life as far as that kind of stuff
You
goes. That
used
anybody
to.
could ever. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's like it was. That's probably why this has kind of come to a halt as far as the back and forth, because there's not much to call out. You know, we're just people that are like, okay, I guess we've assumed a job with this thing, and we have some responsibility to these people, and so we're going to tell their stories. But in all honesty, when we're done with it, we're done with it.
Yeah.
You guys should have just shut up. Like, you know, the 12,000 or whatever it was views on his thing. If he wouldn't have kept going back and forth and this, that, and the other,
We wouldn't have made it.
we would have got a couple hundred views and people would have forgot who the hell we were talking about a few
Yeah.
days later. You know, if you would have just, it's almost like some unknown rapper like this, and I'm not calling this guy the Eminem of podcasting, but I'm saying some unknown guy dissing a signed guy, and the signed guy actually disses him back.
Acknowledging him. Yeah.
Yeah, why do you do that? You just don't do that. And lo and behold, it was like you met your match as far as at least the intelligence goes. I mean, I may not have the reach you do, but the thing that I love, this is what I was going to say that I know will burn him up, that made me think of the subscriber thing in the court, is that, yeah, it ended up getting like 12,000 views. Obviously, a lot of those views came from people who watched his channel, you know, keywords, there you go. But the like to dislike on that I know he used a little tool to see, was like 75% like, even though most of the people watching the video were his fans.
Yeah.
Oh, so he's
So-
pissed that his fans are liking the stuff you're doing.
Oh yeah.
So it was just a little bit of satisfaction for all the abuse we took in this situation and stress and everything.
We had
Like-
to find a little bit of humor in it somewhere.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
we did. Because even when we're helping these people as far as getting just their voice out there and stuff like that, like we're seeing their situation still suck.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
mean,
like we
Oh, yeah.
can't do much more.
there's several of them who I will say that they're doing better than what they were doing when they were there for sure.
Oh,
But
yeah.
there's several of them that are still in very difficult situations where they know how to survive and they're doing the best that they can. But if they did have a legitimate leg up, like this woman had promised them, if they would have had that all those months ago when they were promised it, that most of them, if not all, would all be working steady jobs, would have a camper, and would be doing way better than they are now.
Yeah, yeah.
They were set back, if anything, by
Yeah.
everything that she did to them.
Yeah, it either put their lives on pause or made it 100 times worse.
Yeah.
So it
So
was
she
like,
could have
like
ruined
you
their
are-
lives even more. So,
Oh,
you know.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There's only
Their
there's a few
reputation, like
that
I
are
said.
doing better than they were, but there's, I mean, like I said, several of them, I will say, like they are doing better than they were when they were there by far. But if they just would have had that leg up that they needed, they would be doing 100 times better even than they are now. Then there are some of them that are like in worse situations that we haven't even been able to ever get a hold of, that we've tried
Yeah,
to,
that's true.
and we can't reach them, or
By no fault of their own.
no,
It-
no,
it's
not at
just
all.
They
They're
were,
just bad luck, bad timing, shit sucks, the world is hard.
and this person took a few months of your life with these
Yeah.
promises at a
Yeah.
vital
Yeah.
time. You
And
know,
you
it's
gotta
like
now you gotta fix your life based on what they've done, when
Right.
they made
Right.
it worse.
Yeah. So you were already in a hole, and now you're, just got a couple layers added to get out of it.
basically all this woman did was literally go. Well, she used a preacher to do it,
Yeah,
but
cowardly
send a
ones.
preacher out to find people who are in the worst moment of their life, talk them into coming to this place to get their life together, essentially put them on this land in the middle of nowhere, and never do anything for them. They're not allowed to leave. If they do, bad things are said about
They
them.
get in trouble. Yeah.
Like their life is just totally on pause. They got to do work there and this, that, and the other. And now you've disconnected them from any kind of actual help or any kind of pursuit that they would have had.
What's
So
that
to me-
crazy story about the dog? Remember there was somebody that had a dog and they took the dog and killed the dog. What was that? Or something?
Oh, did you watch John's video about that?
No, it was on your guys, but I'm trying to remember. There was a situation that there was a family, I want to say, that had
Was it a hamster?
it was a hamster. That's what it was. Some kind of animal.
Yeah, poor
Whatever.
Lazarus.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, you're a special kind of fucked up if you're messing around with hamsters, man.
Yeah, this family had left for a little while. They were there. They had kids and they were, just in the process of like trying to get their kids back because they, obviously didn't have them. They were displaced, so they were living in a tent, but they were still able to see their kids and have visitation and everything, trying to get them back and get into a place where they could have them. So they had a hamster that was their daughter's, and they had it with them in the hot tent. Um, and it was fine out there because they had heat in there and everything. So they had it all set up and it was good. And they ended up having to leave for a few days for like some type of family emergency. I can't remember. Someone's family was in the hospital or something. Yeah. So they're gone for a couple of days. And I guess I don't know if it was hard to get in contact with them or what the case was or whatever, or if they were actually in contact and it was lied about. I'm not sure. But they were only gone a couple days, and all of a sudden, this crazy bat woman is like, "Well, fuck them. We're throwing all their shit out and go in there, empty their tent out, throw it all in the
We
dumpster."
don't hold people's stuff.
Yeah, we're not holding their stuff, and so all their personal belongings, whether it was stuff that was given to them or stuff that they brought with them, whatever, it was all thrown in the dumpster. When they went in,
Oh, and she made the other villagers throw it out.
yes.
Like,
Oh, she didn't do it herself. She made them do the dirty
No,
work.
she didn't do anything herself.
little mind control
Yeah,
there.
she made the other
Wow.
residents of the village go in there and empty the tent out. So when they went in there, they found a hamster cage, and like buried under all of the hamster bedding was this hamster. And they, the family hadn't been in there for a couple days, so the heat wasn't running or whatever. So they thought, oh my God, this hamster is dead. So they're looking, and like it was laying in like a ball, I guess, not really moving. So they thought that this hamster was dead. Well, hamsters will do that sometimes where they'll go under stuff and like, burrow under things when they're cold.
Protection.
And
Yeah.
it'll look like they're dead almost, but they're not always dead. Well, they brought it out, and the one volunteer was like, "Oh my God, it moved," or something, and like they made a joke that it was Lazarus that came back from the dead.
That's right. They called him Lazarus. That was his name.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So she kept it, and it's alive to this day. And I know the woman, and I've talked to her since, and she's a cool
But
lady.
the part missing
She still
from
has
that
it.
is it's the kid's hamster.
But yeah, it's the kid's hamster.
Right. Now the
has
kid just
no
lost his
idea what
hamster.
happened to the hamster.
No, the kid doesn't know. The people ended up coming back a few days later. I mean, like maybe the next day or something, just to be told, all your shit's in the fucking dumpster. You can go pick through it if you want to, but it's all in the garbage, and you're out of here. And they're like, "Well, what the fuck? What about our daughter's hamster?" And they lied to her and told her that it was dead. And didn't tell her that it was still alive and that, nothing. So yeah.
Like, and then of course, like, go and tell everybody in the area that these people
They're
gone 'cause
raging
they're on
drug addicts and
and all
they're,
this kind of stuff.
all this shit.
And
Wow.
same thing with the people that we just put up their interview with Ryan and Kristen.
Yeah.
Like, this woman has basically told anybody who's anybody.
Oh, that they don't have custody of their child and all this stuff, which is so far from the truth.
Which, meanwhile, if you watch our video where we interviewed them, their
The
baby's in
right
the video.
there, yeah.
This woman was trying
wow.
to have the baby at Hope Village, like
it was going to be the village's baby. Like, I guarantee you that Debbie would have probably tried.
It's so
She
crazy.
seemed like the type anyway. I don't know. She seemed like the type of crazy witch who would go and try to like take that kid from them.
Yeah, she was calling herself like, I'm the gamma of this
I can't
place.
remember what she said.
Like,
Yeah.
Gam or something. I don't know.
Something weird.
So it was this whole weird thing where it's just control over people's
slandered
lives.
the hell out of them, and they're the sweetest couple. And I mean, the dude's working his ass off, and the chick is so nice, and they've had their baby since day one. They have never had any problems whatsoever. They're clean, sober people. They're
He works.
they're good ass people, and they're really good parents.
But they got their camper out of see, that's the other interesting thing that they would do at this Hope Village is supposedly it's transitional living. So it's like you come in there with nothing, you're in a tent. But if you follow the program, which we discovered there is no program.
No program.
But she'll make up one. Yeah. Well, there was the thing about the camper with the black mold in it. I remember that.
Oh, yeah. That was Jane's there. And in this situation, it was These people, the couple we just described, got a camper for telling them to
Brian said, "Lick my balls and eat my ass," or something like that.
and they got a camper out of that
Oh,
because he
wow.
followed it with reminding them that his cousin was the sheriff.
Yeah, yeah,
And next thing you
Oh.
know, they didn't just get kicked out; they got kicked out with a camper. Like, here you
yeah.
go, you guys start your life. Will you do a video like on the channel to show your success?
They used them for their
Oh, so they were like one of these success plants or
yes,
whatever.
and they used
Oh.
them for that story and that video that they got out of them before they left. But meanwhile, even after they left and they got that camper, they still told anybody who asked that they were just drug addicts who didn't have their kid, and that they got kicked out of
Yeah,
it.
the woman would usually hold the title. Like somebody out of state would see your story, say you and your woman are homeless, she's pregnant, whatever. They'd see your story, they'd say, "Oh my God, I want to give a camper to these people." So they would give it, and the woman running it in most situations would hold the title, and you would hear down the road that they screwed up, and
Hmm.
that they're back on the street or whatever. But really what it was is she like reneged or whatever and took it back as though they violated some rules. But the
Yeah.
thing is, when you got the camper, she, God, when you got a camper not for doing things right, you got a camper for asking questions.
Yeah, if you ask too many questions, then it's time to kick you out.
They
Then
give you a
get
camper, but
To
they put
get rid of you, kind of?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
It's like a consolation prize almost, but they give you the camper and they put you in the middle of nowhere. You
And
don't
they
have a
hold
job.
the title from you.
And even, even if they didn't hold the title, you don't have a job.
Yeah,
You have 30 days to pay rent.
Yeah, at a new place. How the fuck are you going to do that?
Or if
Yeah,
you get
and
pulled
you're
over
out of
with that
nowhere.
thing and they're like, is this who's this licensed to? And if you say they don't have the
Yeah.
title, you're fucked.
Yeah. And it's all this thing where it's like, well, the public wasn't seeing that part of it. They were seeing a video of, oh my God, we just got a camper for so and so. And
Success story
Wow.
at a Hope Village. Oh, joy.
but there was
That's
never
horrible, man.
anything. It was
No.
just all a game. At one point I thought that maybe she jumped into this with the intention of doing those good things and just
Now we know that
but
that's
no,
not true.
absolutely not. We
This is
found out
her hustle, huh?
yeah, she had them tents sitting there empty for like weeks, dude. She
Like a
handpicked
month.
people that were the most vulnerable who, basically she could control, she could mold and stuff like
She
that.
changed demographics, even age-wise and everything, after we went, got really deep into it, and all the original people had already left or been quote unquote kicked out. Then she all of a sudden changed gears when we were already going to court and everything, and made it older people
Yeah.
that she was going after.
Everybody's
to begin
between
with.
the ages of like
50 and 71.
Oh,
50.
so now it's older people as opposed to younger people, the families and things.
Yeah, there is a homeless problem in Rutherford County. I mean, it's been
Yeah.
exacerbated because of Helene, but none of these are Helene people.
No.
I mean, it didn't make their situation any better.
Right.
But and that was another thing that it was very touchy doing this because number one, we're not saying that these people didn't deserve help
No, not at all.
because they weren't Helene victims. And number two, it's like we're showing that this is a scam and maybe that this other thing we came across is a scam. But there really is absolute devastation here. People's lives are still destroyed.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's the worst. People outside of here have no idea. It's worse. Whatever you've seen or heard about it, it's 10 times worse
20
to this
times,
day.
at least.
And
Wow.
so it was hard to sit here and make something like this look bad because then it makes the whole thing look bad.
Region, yeah.
People don't
Yeah.
want to help nobody in the region. They don't want to help, So that was part. It's a very, very touchy thing because that
That's
was
heartbreaking for us, because this is, we moved here, as it's only been like 4 years since we've lived here, and we've
Yeah.
only lived in this region for the last 2 years. And it's, home has always still been like Detroit and Michigan, no matter what. And it's like being here after this disaster happened, and just the way that it changes your outlook on life, and then just changes absolutely every aspect of your life, and seeing it affect so many people. Like, you get a closeness with the people and just the region itself, to where it's hard to even talk about without getting emotional. Like,
Yeah.
it's really rough.
I
It's
mean-
still 12 months, so it'll be what, a year. It'll be a year
in
soon.
September, yeah. And
Wow.
I mean, you gotta think
Bad
like
still.
just imagine like you live in the mountains and You know, you never have to worry about a hurricane in the mountains.
Yeah.
But
No.
just imagine that you live next to a stream that's got 3 inches of water, but when this happens, it's 40 feet of water.
And we're not kidding.
Yeah,
Like, we're
40
not
actual feet
exaggerating.
of
Like, that's
water,
almost impossible to picture.
giant
but
rocks,
it's true.
semi trailers flying at your
Yeah.
house. Like, dude, it was bad. Like, it's worse than people think.
It's worse than the movie Twister and Crawl combined. Like, except we didn't have gators swimming through our house, I guess.
And I couldn't figure out because I was seeing a lot of Hurricane Helene, and I was like, well, you guys are switching gears, but it only makes sense because it's where you lived. I didn't even think about
Yeah.
that, you know?
Yeah, our
So-
county got pretty wrecked bad. We got really lucky where our house is just on our street. Our house didn't get damaged. I think we got some internal damage maybe to like our air unit and whatnot. But we didn't get damage to our house or our vehicles or whatever. My parents' vehicles got completely smashed. They got stuck in their house under trees for 2 days. No one could get a hold of them or get to them or nothing. I mean, it just, yeah, we
There's
got
a lot.
evacuated from our house.
Dude, you gotta think
Oh.
there was a couple 100,000 homes that were irreparably damaged.
Yeah.
A couple 100,000 is insane. That means you're talking about it affecting like 500,000 people directly. And then there's the indirect part, and there was no communication. It was a dystopian nightmare. There was no phones for a long time. I didn't have phone service for 17 days, and we're in a more
That's-
popular area.
Yeah.
Gary,
You know,
I
there's no
can't even
internet.
picture that.
Yeah, dude, no internet. Like,
nothing.
you know, people saw some of those horrible videos from Asheville and stuff, but there's places that were hit 10 times worse. Well, not
that
10
are
times
in
worse,
the
but worse
mountains
than
that
Asheville.
are scattered everywhere.
And people had to take, you know, and this wasn't on a couple occasions. This is thousands of people where they had to either get a privately owned chopper to go in there and airlift people, or they're taking side by sides up the mountain and crossing over, you know, just piles of rocks and giant 100-foot trees just to get to somebody, to some old lady who's been there, hasn't eaten for 5
Yeah,
days. You know?
some persons without.
You don't
their
even know if they're going to be
income for
alive.
3 days.
See, that's
Yeah.
what sucks. I mean, somebody who's taking somebody at their most vulnerable moment and they're preying on it, man. That's
That's
wow.
how we felt. And a
That's
lot
what
of the
makes it
stuff
so
that she
sad.
was getting and a lot of the sympathy she was getting,
It's because of the hurricane.
and it should have went to hurricane victims.
It
Nothing
should've.
against the people that were there, but these, you know, a lot of people
We're-
thought they were giving to that.
We're
you
all
know?
for helping the homeless. We've stated this over and over, and we feel like, you know, we constantly have to because of all of this. So that we are in no way against helping the homeless. In fact, like we said, all the people that we interviewed and spoke to and met through this are amazing people, and I wish that I could do more for them. They're awesome people, and I hope that they, you know, all the success in the world to them comes. And we want to help homeless people or anybody in general that is in need of help. But
Yeah.
this was a time when it was Hurricane Helene had just devastated all these lives, and then they're posting all these videos to get all these donations for Helene victims who really, really, really desperately needed that. They had a house yesterday, and now today it floated away in front of their eyes, you know, and they need this stuff. And she's not only getting all this stuff and saying it's for people and not giving it to them, but then keeping it for herself and not even giving it to the people who she had there.
Right. It was just a total con job and just heartbreaking to see. And it was hard to not cover. But like I said, like honestly, it was a really
You guys
touching-
you guys might be that silver bullet. You might have stopped her for good. That's, you know, I'm hoping that's the
I
case.
don't know.
I don't
She's
know.
the slippery one. I think that I said I don't know if we put a stop to her.
Yeah,
for good.
there's some other stuff in her past and things that indicate. Well, I cover some of it in the documentary. Some of it she says I did, but I didn't, and I should.
Yeah.
But there's some stuff there that's like, oh my God, someday there might be a real
A
documentary
Dateline
about this.
episode or something.
A whole damn
Right.
Netflix series about this woman. Like she needs to just basically our whole thing towards the end of this was like we came to know and really care about the people in the surrounding homes and the community there who really wanted her gone. And it was like, if we can just get her out of this area, I hate to say it, let her be someone else's problem.
Yeah.
We can't solve the thing like perfectly, but what we
We're
could
not
do
the police, you know.
is we can
Yeah.
cause her to get less donations. we can cause her to have a headache and go, I'm going to go somewhere else and set up shop, and let her be someone else's problem who has the resources to put her to an end there.
Maybe their cops will do something.
But at least we'll help these particular people, and we'll give the victims a voice, and we'll give the neighbors some, they'll be able to sleep at
Maybe
night.
they'll have some peace for
And,
once.
we're nobody, but I do feel good about it. Even when Danielle's really negative about it. Like, this is stressful. I hate it. And she hates hearing even any of these people's names or anything. And I'm like,
Not the victims' names, but
Right,
all
right.
of the
The
people involved.
scumbags like Ronnie
Yeah,
and Debbie. What's her last name?
Oh, which one? She's got like 7.
Oh,
yeah, she's
okay.
been married like 6 times.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting. That's what I mean.
Sisk, I think that's
Briscoe.
the current. Yeah.
But
Is it
she and she
Briscoe?
goes by,
Briscoe with a B.
Oh, Briscoe. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
she goes by
Okay.
Deanna now. That's the thing. She'll
Yeah,
change
you
it
can use
up.
her first name too. Deanna, Debbie Anna.
This is like some America's Most Wanted shit, man.
Yes.
It could end up that way.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean. Like, people like that are desperate and they're dangerous. I don't care how street smart you are. I don't care how connected you may be to whatever on either side of the law. People like that are desperate, where they have put a certain reputation online, and every dollar, every penny, every moment of their life depends on that being believed. And you start outing it, it's bad for them. So they're probably willing to do anything to stop you.
Yeah.
And like I said at the beginning, dude, like, didn't think it'd be anything like that. We say what we got to say, then we move on to like, oh, what's Trump's report card for his first 3 months?
Right, right.
That was like the next video.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, it's like, nope.
Next thing you know, it's way past the election, and we're like, holy shit.
Damn, we didn't even get to talk about the damn election.
Right. The election, you guys were doing other things during the election. So,
yeah.
But wow, man. Well, I appreciate you guys coming on here to talk about this and kind of put this out there. So we're definitely, like I said, I'm going to put the link of your documentary in the description, and we'll definitely shout your channel out. And yeah, man, keep fighting the good fight. That's all I got to say.
Yeah.
And thanks for listening to us rant about it. We appreciate you.
Yeah, like I said, we usually don't talk about it, so letting it all out it's a little therapeutic for us, and we appreciate it.
Oh yeah, well, my thing was, I was so interested. How the hell did you get into this? That was my big question. So now I know, and some of the background, which is fascinating as hell. I'm sorry that Cruise Control had to miss out on this, because this was quite the story. But hey, he had stuff to do tonight. So anyway, well, you guys, thanks again. And this has been the Nothing Sacred interview with Mike and Danielle of the Minivan Musician Podcast. Go check out their documentary, which is in the description. And man, dude, it's not going to be, you got to watch it all at once too. It's not something you watch in pieces. That was my plan. And remember, I said that to you. I was like, I'm probably going to watch this bit by bit over the weekend. It looks kind of long. And fuck no. Sunday morning, I'm like, all right, this is it. I'm not answering any text messages or phone calls or any shit. I'm going to watch this. So yeah, you definitely got to watch it all at once and digest this. And when you turn it off, you're going to go, hey, let me get on the treadmill or something.
Let me get a drink real quick.
And I want to urge people too to it's kind of halfway organized on our channel. We have the people's interviews who are affected by this, and and if anybody out there wants to help them at all, we'll find a way that you can.
Yeah, some of them have they did have GoFundMe's. I think a couple of them, I don't know if they have them any longer or anything like that, but
we can always find a way that people can help, even with a few dollars here and there or whatever. Even just give them a just give them a little shout out in the comments or whatever it is, just to let them know, like, hey man, I watched your story and I'm sorry that happened to you, because people in these positions already feel really bad about themselves, and to just, I don't know, man, like that for somebody to take advantage of this and kind of beat them into the ground, just mentally. I don't know, man. It ain't cool, and I like
nice
to see
for them to know that they're important and that they're worthy of people giving a shit.
Yeah, I love seeing a comment that's like, Ryan. Like, sometimes people leave a comment like, Ryan and Kristen seem like such cool people. We're so sorry that happened to you, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, that's my satisfaction with this whole thing. And they really appreciate that big time too. They don't have to send money. Just send a few words or whatever, and let them know that, yeah, you could tell this is truthful. And we did our job, I think, to make sure everything was truthful and to represent it accurately. And that's, all we can really do. And then we'll see what happens in court and everything.
Yeah.
So if you want to help,
Oh, that's right. You got the court case coming up. Well, good luck in court. I want to say good luck to you guys in court.
Thank you.
And I hope no more threats or anything like that happen, or they don't step it up. Sometimes when you ignore the threats, they go to the next level. I mean, I know how crazy people are, man. They sit around and think of shit you never would because you don't think that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. That's right.
So yeah, man, I just be safe. Everybody be safe. And hey, this has been, like I said, the Nothing Sacred interview. I'm Maxwell Silverhammer, and that's the story there, bitches. See ya.
We are nothing sacred. We are nothing sacred. We are nothing sacred. With Maxwell Silverhammer. We are nothing sacred. With cruise control. We are nothing sacred.